Hello, and welcome to the Powerhouse Art Podcast, Behind the Powerhouse, where we talk about everything going on behind the scenes, what's going on between all of us. So today we're just going to reflect on the open house and kind of the house on Garling story a little bit. This open house was sort of a big moment for a lot of us, and we've got a lot of the volunteers that were here, people that were involved in the story visited the house. And just wanted to reflect a little bit. So, Tom, take it away.
I'm excited to have everybody here. I wanted to talk about what the open house meant, why we had it, and just individually maybe what the time frame was from wherever you came in during the start and the open house was the finish. And I want to hear how it affected you or what you thought. And we'll go into that quite a bit. But let's introduce everybody. We'll come around this way.
All right. Hannah Johnson. I'm an independent arts and humanities educator here in Bloomington and currently serving as community educator in some capacity for Powerhouse. And so we've really been in partnership since November of 24. And had the opportunity to volunteer on that first Saturday of the open house.
I'm Jeff Bess, local artist and painter. I met Tom probably 10 or 11 years ago when all there was the big rock, and have watched things progress over the years. And the open house was amazing to see a finished product.
Very cool.
Santino Lamancusa. I own the Hanger Art Company here in Bloomington. I first met Tom through Jeff when we were preparing to open, brought Tom into the shell of what our space was in 2020 and told him our vision. And he had some cool ideas for some stuff that became part of a staple of the gallery, and later showing his and Addison's work as well. And watching the journey of this place, the open houses over the years to the final one, has been awesome.
Very cool.
My name's Avery. I'm his middle daughter. So I've been around for the whole thing.
I'm Stephanie Neumann. I am a community member here in McLean County. I've always heard of the house, and my husband sent me an invitation to the open house. He couldn't make it, but I did and was very impressed. So good job, everybody.
Nice.
My name is Patrick Henson. I've been friends with Tom, known him since high school. But important, I think, is I walked through this house, the original house, when he was looking to purchase this house. It was me, you, and Banker Steve.
Okay.
So it's been an interesting journey to see the transformation from a normal house to this. And I think I always brought an outside viewpoint of being, constructive criticism on what you were doing here, and didn't know what it was or what it was going to be. I couldn't see what you saw, but it was it's neat to see the finished product now. And it was great to be part of the open house both days, without diving too much into it. My takeaway was it was a public event that it brought all types of people to this one house. It didn't matter for that moment, for that day, that time that you were here. It didn't matter what side you were on. It didn't matter what your political beliefs were. It didn't matter about anything. Everybody came here as one, and they all enjoyed each other's company and just the atmosphere in the house. So that's what my takeaway was, and I think that's just amazing when you can take everybody from a community from all around that with different beliefs, and they come together and just share the excitement together of being here.
So Pat and I, we get together all the time. We talk every day, and we talked about just exactly that. And I don't think there's a lot of places that you can go or things that you can do where it's just it's all around safe.
Yeah.
For everything.
It's it was a safe place for everybody.
Yeah. And I think that's, so I met with the city of Bloomington. I met with Billy, the city manager, and we talked about just that. I'm like, well, Billy, we have all these different things, but it might be, it draws this crowd or it draws that crowd, or this is your activity. And what we need is a universal, or just like you can't say like everything goes, but everybody could find something that they could participate in, or see, or hear, or listen, or go. And that's what I think what we offer the community. And this was a little sample, a little taste of that.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that you talked about it. And what's funny was all the videos that I hear, you're in the background. It's like, yeah.
I like to talk once I
Yeah.
get going. You guys will learn that here over the next hour, I think.
It was really cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just think walking around, like, I noticed so many conversations that each of you had with people. And Pat had a lot of conversations too, but like, I don't know, just I would like to just hear about some of those. Were there any that like were more impactful for you, or that stuck with you past the weekend? Or I don't know. Anybody start with that if you want to.
Tom had asked me if I would come and help and kind of keep the crowd from bottlenecking into one place. So I was pretty much by the entrance and the exit. So I got to tell people, you can go this way, you can go that way, watch your step. You're looking up, but you got to look down too. And then on the way out, I got to ask what their thoughts were. And for the most part, everybody was just like blown away, because they've seen the outside, but they had no idea what to expect when they got to the inside. And then it was like, wow. So, and I only saw one negative reaction. A couple walked in, looked around, and turned around and walked away.
And he told me that. I'm like, I already know who it was.
Yeah.
They were upset from the second they got here.
Yeah.
And they just left. And it had nothing to do with this place. They were just not happy. Like that day or whatever. It was, and I saw the same one person.
Yeah. And another thing was the kids. The kids just absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it was good.
I heard a lot of comparisons to City Museum.
I always like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That feels good. That feels really good. So Santino, you were kind of like, you were the next spot.
Yeah, so I had the best seat in the house because I was right by where John Till was set up on that second day, and I basically got like a private concert back there.
Yeah.
And it was awesome to have that vibe and music going too, because as folks would come by and we'd interact and engage, I think the first thing I noticed is like people had trouble finding words. Right? Like you want to say this is amazing, but like literal definition, like people are just awestruck at the sheer scale, scope, size of the things that you've managed to incorporate, and that they walk around through it all.
Yeah.
So half the time it's like, what do you think? And it just takes people time to find words that can describe the things in here.
Yeah.
Which was super cool.
So Jeff said, you mentioned it, like you told people, hey, watch your feet when you're looking up. Every person that came in here, I said, watch your feet because you're going to look up and you're going to trip.
Before you
People
look
got
up.
to the sliding glass door and tripped when they walked in the house.
The very first
one
step.
out of two people.
Yeah.
I'm like, I told you. And as soon as they walk in, they do this and they walk forward and they trip. It was funny. I mean, so many people I watched trip 2 seconds after I told them that.
I did hear one person that was really cool that I just thought of, that he thought he'd been swallowed by a piece of art.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was cool because that's kind of what it seems like when you're in here.
Very cool. So we ended up making a friendship with a rando person.
I am rando.
So we wanted to get the perspective of somebody that we didn't know that took the time to come in to see it. So one, how did you know about even to come in it, and what did you think?
The whole experience is very, very exciting for me. It's exciting to talk about. It was exciting to experience. My husband, like, I always heard about this place, like, on the streets, and so, like, I heard about it, but I had never taken the time to, like, come and drive by and see it. I know of some of your work downtown Bloomington, but my husband actually sent me the Facebook post and said, hey, this would be really cool. Let's go check it out. Unfortunately, he scheduled a snowmobiling trip for the same weekend. And I was like, you know what? I'm still going. So I invited a friend and we came, and it was way beyond what I ever would have imagined or expected this event to be. So we walked through the house, and it was really cool because you got to see how many people were supporting this, and it was packed. I mean, there was such a good turnout. It was very impressive. But by the end, I was so disappointed that my husband wasn't with me that I approached Tom and said, hey, do you ever do like a private tour or anything like that? He's like, yeah, come hang out. Like, so you allowed us to come and hang out afterwards. It just so happened a couple of weeks after the open house was my husband's birthday. And so I was able to surprise him and allow him to see the house as well, privately. So appreciate you allowing us to do that. And it was like, that even was a better experience because you like set up a table for us and, had the candle or whatever and allowed us to have dinner in the bucket. And so we did that. And then what we would not have been able to do in the open house was like, we actually climbed through all these tunnels. And at our age, it was a little bit more difficult than when like we would do stuff like this as kids. But there's not a tunnel here that we didn't go. I mean, these new ones.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
there's not a tunnel we didn't climb through, and it was really cool to have the private experience too. So yeah, just that open house like opened my eyes to just everything that you've done here.
So you had never even drove around? You just
that was
saw
my
it for the first
very
time.
first experience.
Okay.
So,
very cool.
Question with that. So since you did say you heard about the place, did you already have an opinion formed, or were you just kind of curious, or like what was some of the street talk, I guess, about this place?
Both positive and negative.
Okay,
right?
that's what I want to dive into that. So I want to hear like what it is you heard on both sides, positive, negative, and then what you actually.
Yeah, like you hear how cool it is, but I wouldn't want to live next door to that house, or I wouldn't want to live across the street from that house. And I came in, I'm like, I would want to live next door across the street from this house. But yeah, you just hear kind of both the positive and the negatives of how cool it is and how artistic you are, and like just the vision and just the color. I mean, in seeing it in person, I was like, the colors popping out and just the metalwork, and it was just very cool. Yeah. But yeah, both positive and negative.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Avery Grace. So you were
middle name.
Yeah, that means you're in big trouble. So you manned up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you did just the table and all the stuff. And Aaron and I had talked about this.
I kind of think we could get into the doc and then get to where I think you're going.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know, just a little bit. I think the documentary opened that weekend too.
Okay.
I just gave a guest lecture in a class at ISU, like a freshman intro to mass media class. And I talked about how media sort of works, especially documentary. So when you're making a documentary, you choose what to point the camera at, what stories to tell, what things are interesting or important to however long the thing is that you're making. And then you kind of reconstruct that into a story. So you're choosing what part of reality to capture and then putting that back into some narrative. And I think kind of what it focused on was that sort of community energy a little bit that's starting to form around it and the story that you were going through. And I think there's parts of that when you're reconstructing that narrative, we didn't really choose to tell exactly. So just to sort of keep that narrative streamlined, we didn't exactly tell certain parts of the story that I feel like should be talked about and should be involved in it. So it was cool to see you here talking to people and, I don't know, sitting with Addison and selling art because, I don't know, just cool to have you in the story.
Yeah, or I guess I'm like the daughter that doesn't do art. So, like, when I was sitting here, people would, like, come up to me and be like, oh, like, are you the daughter that makes the art? And I would be like, no. And then they, like, weren't interested in talking to me or anything. So, and that happened, like, all day. And then I don't remember exactly what this lady had said to me, but it was something along the lines of, like, oh, you can still find a talent even though you don't do art.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And
I think she said, I think the word she said, or there's still hope for you.
Yeah.
But that just obviously, but I think obviously by saying that, lot of
thanks,
people,
lady.
a lot of people came into this story just knowing what was in the documentary, and that's kind of what I just wanted to point out was that is a constructed narrative, like a narrative that I've sort of put together, and it's not that doesn't reflect Avery at all. Avery was just sort of mentioned in there at one point, so I don't know, like. There is a whole nother side to the story that you don't get to see through just that portrayal.
And because of that, like a lot of this hasn't been fair because you haven't been shed light on like you should have, because you've lived in this place. And just like you brought up like, well, I'm happy I'm not the neighbor. But what I hear a lot of would be like, oh, this is cool. I don't want to be, like I'm happy I'm leaving. I'm happy I'm not stuck. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't want to sleep in that place. And you're sleeping in the machine, and this machine is not comfortable. I compare it to our motorcycles. Like they look super cool. It hurt to ride them, but it looks super cool.
Yeah,
they're all about appearance, not comfort, and that's just what we chose because it was how it did it.
And it's what you chose.
Yeah, I was all about it.
There was no we. That was what you chose.
I chose a very uncomfortable, badass motorcycle.
I thought about the house. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you chose the house. Yeah.
It is not soft. It is very loud. It's very hard. And
it's heavy too. There's a lot of weight.
It's very
to
heavy.
Yeah.
And you deserve a lot of recognition and a lot of light for that because you're representing like a different side of it, and you helped me do things while we're going through it, and just it wasn't your passion, it wasn't what you're interested in doing, and it was neat to see you be through something that I know you didn't really much enjoy, but I knew you appreciated it and you respected it. And people have asked me like, "Oh, what do your kids think? What do your kids think?" And my biggest concern was when I was doing this is I didn't want you or Addison ever be made fun of. I'm like, man, I hope to God people don't make fun of you like at the bus stop. So I'd always ask you, Mike, does anybody make fun of you? And you always said no, but I don't know what the truth was.
I honestly don't remember.
Okay.
I don't think anything like major, but it was definitely talked about in school, but I don't think anybody said anything to my face about it.
Well, now it's talked about college.
Yeah. But they don't know it was me because the pictures I was really young in. So they don't know it's me.
Right. And that lady meant no harm.
Yeah.
In what she said, but I knew what she said was her. As soon as I heard it, I'm like, oh, God damn.
It just built up like... If all you've been exposed to is their story through the documentary, like that's not necessarily them. That's a recreation with media. So
and then
you build up that perception a little bit and operate from there, but you really have to like experience it and look closely at things. I think that's what the documentary kind of advocates for, is to look a little deeper than surface level.
Yeah, and when we are filming or we are talking, I am very much controlling or doing my best to control a narrative, right? Like I want to shed light on the good, or I want to shed light on the positive. So I am controlling something that I don't really have control of, but I'm doing my best. And where I've been very, very lucky is you look at any story that's ever been written from the Pantograph is always focused on the positive. And that allowed me to do this. You know what I mean? Like if the narrative could have taken just a little scooch different and it would have still all been truthful, this would have been so hard to accomplish this. And so that's why people ask me about, oh, well, they did this documentary. I'm like, I had no idea what it was. You chose that angle, you know what I mean? I'm like, thank God.
I mean, documentary is not only informative, it's persuasive. So you're telling people how to feel about something in a way. And that's why I think it was so cool to just have that open house, because people could come here and see it for themselves. They could talk to you. They could actually interact. It's a whole different feeling being in this space. And I think that's what people felt at the open house. It was just cool to have that kind of moment together where they could experience it for themselves.
I think this one really felt like something special too. Like when we got started, I think that first year we had opened, you had invited some of us as artists to, you used to open up just for your birthday, like every year, just so folks could kind of see the progress, see the journey you're taking, right?
Yeah.
And that first year, after we had met, and setting up in the garage there, showing some of my photos, and I think that's where I actually bought that first piece.
Big
You put a
flowers.
price tag on, yeah. I think even the folks over the years that they would see the fountain in the gallery and be like, oh, is this that guy? And and then when the sculpture park started, and folks got more of a chance to see kind of what the interior was shaping up like, because there wasn't a lot of that. I mean, you had stuff all around the outside, but there was only that one time a year that the folks who knew how to find you like could get in the doors, right?
Yep.
But over those years, even the people, I'm like, yeah, did you ever go to one of the open houses? Yeah, I went to this one, or I went to that one. I was like, this is nothing like that. Even in the past 18 months, from the open house, the scale and just like it exponentially grew. The work you guys put in, the other artists you brought in, all the sculpting, all the tools, all the color, all the your dad's glasswork, everything that you built and added. I feel like that all ramped up in comparatively such a short window that this whole journey was taking. So this open house really felt like the culmination of, I mean, for me, it was like just the 4 or 5 years that I've known you now, but knowing it started so much earlier, this one really felt like the doors are now open. So that was really cool to have so much of a turnout. To have so much of a positive, like inaugural day, right?
So your story, the hangar, ties this place at almost the same time. So, but I'll talk about Jeff first. So you said you've been coming through here for like 10 years.
Yeah, I just drove up one day and introduced myself because I got to talk to this guy.
So you are the first person that I remember as being a positive, influential as far as like good. You are.
Well, I don't know if you remember the conversation, but I was getting ready to open my own gallery, and I asked Tom if he did any smaller works that he could put into a gallery. And he said, "Oh, no, I'm not an artist. I'm just doing this. I'm going through a messy divorce. I'm just doing this to keep my mind off it. I'm not an artist." I'm like, "What?"
I hate it.
You like that?
I drove away and I thought, I can't wait till I'm not an artist.
But so I just remember you coming by and you were like you were the first one. Or one at first, because most of the time when people were stopping, it wasn't good. So when somebody would stop, I was just already defensive. I'm like, so I felt like you were consistent enough. I'm like, oh, I like this guy. Like he means he's a good dude. And then I remember you saying, hey, this guy, I know him. He's going to open up this art gallery. I'm like, I don't want nothing to do with it. And you're like, no, like they want you to come down. And so I did not want to go. And I didn't even know who you were. I'm like, I don't want anything to do with it. And you're like, no, man, this guy's the real deal. Like, he's setting it up. So you talked me going down in there, and I met you. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is going to be really cool. So you introduced me to the art world. You were my in. And that's how I met Santino. And you gave me the opportunity. You're just like, do something cool. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. So we made the wishing well. You coined that, the wishing well. And so you brought me in the art community, and then you established this was where all these different people were coming in. And I could feel it here, because a lot of people, we were down there and we were with this Santino guy and he told us to come through here. So it was an honor to be part of what you were doing, because you were sending people here and I would send people back. So it was all networking.
The hangar was a great vehicle to get people here and to the sculpture park.
Yep.
And that was constant. Here's the guy on the crazy guy on Garling.
Yeah. And then so in the front of my yard here, it's actually an ice cream cone. It's an ice cream cone with a big rock on it with a cherry on the top. I made that for Jeff. So that was free.
It's supposed to go in the gallery.
That's not a little piece.
What?
I didn't know it was going to be that big. And he had a garage door, and I went and I measured it, and I'm like, yeah, I can make something that goes in there. And I called Jeff. I'm like, it isn't going to fit. And I was trying to make something small, and it still ended up being like 12 feet tall.
We did get a cool piece because a lot of my paintings were of Tom's old machines and rusty stuff, backhoe buckets and trucks and things like that, drag lines. And I told Tom once it would really be cool to have a rusty old backhoe bucket in this gallery by all these paintings. He said, let's go get one. So the next thing I know, we're in his yard and with a crane and bringing a rusty backhoe bucket.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's
It
cool.
was good.
Yeah, the timing was kind of really fortuitous. I mean, terrible timing. It was 2020, the whole world kind of broke. But we were doing something new and wanted a place, and we knew we needed more people. And Jeff was somebody whose work I had loved. And so I actually went to him in his gallery, and I said, hey, man, I know you have your own space here, and you're doing your own thing, but I really like the work, and we're looking to open something downtown that's going to showcase, a lot more work of people. And so if you would want to bring some stuff over there, we'd love to have you. And, it was just that moment where it's like, well, actually, I'm not going to keep this place because
I'm closing. How about if I bring it all?
Yeah, so we were really fortunate that Jeff came on board with us right from the get-go, and and he brought you in, and that's it. Just all sort of evolved from that launching point of, are we even going to have enough people to fill a space this size?
Right.
And then the things you talked about building, that was the first meeting, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I was like, I would love it. Like, I mean, anything that folks wanted to do that would help, just fill out the room, bring people in off the street. Like, having that thing through the front window was such a statement piece. The week it took to install that summer, folks coming in off the street, it's like, what is going on? And like, that's a Tom Kirk piece. Like,
that piece that connected you in. It connected all of it together into something larger.
Mm-hmm.
Brought people together. I think this open house did a good job of showing people the project and I don't know, having them experience that. Any other stories that people had about people they talked to, or any takeaways? What did you take away from being here?
Affirming the idea that like all of humanity came to that open house. And so I was stationed upstairs. And so I had a really privileged viewpoint to have people like cresting a spiral staircase and knowing that by the time they made it to where I was, they had already explored, right? They had already challenged themselves by going up this staircase or choosing this direction versus another direction. And like we had, infants in slings with parents like hand over the soft head and peach fuzz and, octogenarians scaling the stairs and like sitting there standing, deciding if they were going to keep going. And so it was also really lovely because I was stationed near a window. And so you had this brilliant juxtaposition between the outdoors and the indoors and the relationship between spaces. Yeah. And it was also this really stark contrast because it overlooks the neighbor's backyard, which is not filled with art. And so that conjured conversation too, right? And so people were able to kind of, I don't know, in real time assess what they were standing in, what they were experiencing, and then having this like direct reminder of what the outside world often looks like. And so it was interesting to watch those kind of like inner monologues happen. But it was just like the physicality of it all. And you could tell that so much was happening inside of people as they were exploring. But they had the opportunity to just be immersed and be, in physical contact with their environment and figure out, philosophically, where do they fit in this whole thing? But then also physically, where do they fit in all of the, what I mean? And like, can they do the tunnel or is, these scoopy little stairs enough to kind of challenge their capacity in the moment. And so that was kept me entertained for hours. So that was really positive.
Yeah, I think there definitely was a sort of agelessness to it. Like everyone who walks in has that whole sort of making sense of what's going on, what their current moment even is. It's a whole different reality from anything we know in here. You step inside and it's like you're swallowed by a piece of art. It's a whole different world. So my grandpa did actually also come, and he's in his late 80s, and decided we weren't sure if he was going to go up like the spiral staircase in the middle at all, but he got up and he's like, okay, I'm going to keep going, and got all the way up to Hannah and took a picture standing in the bucket all the way up on top. So
looking very dapper.
Yeah, very dapper. But just, I don't know, letting some of those things that hold people back sometimes go, and
My grandson,
just being curious.
I'm sorry, my grandson said, "Can that guy do that to our house?"
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and that's
so all ages.
Yeah.
All ages.
Yeah.
some of the magic too of a place like this, because it truly is, a majority found materials, right? And like there's a subset within art, visionary environments, but those environments, as imaginative and as surreal as they can be, are more often than not constructed of very familiar materials. And so again, being able to witness that too, as folks were kind of looking holistically at the space, seeing, oh, this is a railing, and this is a wall, and this is that, but then taking it one step further to really take in what they were looking at and figure out, oh no, this is very familiar. This is, the track off of a large piece of machinery, or this is a wrench that's hidden in, some metalwork. Exactly right. That's my eye. And so that, breeds this familiarity, and it invites folks into the experience, even though it is so entirely surreal that they're kind of processing as they go. But that was neat too. And especially when we talk about the age range, folks noticing those little details and having personal connections to them, and, farmers with overalls coming through and being like, oh no, I know what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
But then having little secrets hidden, like a whale or a dolphin or a bird hidden somewhere too. Again, fabricated out of, found material. But yeah, it was a little bit of a seek and find, and that's really neat to witness in real time.
I think some people, you would look and see, oh, that's a railing, but then also you had that second thought of, oh, that's something else too. So just seeing that something can be two things at once was also, I don't know, interesting in people. Yeah.
Oh, I think that very concept inspires people, especially kids. They come through an environment like that, they see what they're taught to see, but then all of a sudden they see that things can be something else. Things can be multiple things. And so it just automatically kind of opens up that pathway to, further creativity.
I kind of compared, as I was talking to people, like, this is the Willy Wonka house of metal. It's not the chocolate version, but it's the metal version, because things may appear this way, but in reality, they kind of goes a couple of different directions, and there's a staircase. So I'm like, they're like, well, how do I get up or down? I'm like, you can come over here. And when you look at it, you're like, well, it looks like I go down, but actually I can go up too. So it was, when people came through the doorway, they were in a different reality. This was, or, like a different, this was not a normal house, a normal structure. This was like a whole different world. And they were able to come in, whether you're young or old, and just soak it up and just be in awe, and there's so many times that, families would have their kids, and kids are going crazy, they're running around, and we would talk, and then they'd go up to your level, and they look around, and they'd come back down like, okay, hey, I'll see you later, and they'd be gone, and like half hour, 45 minutes later, they were back again. They were like crossing. I'm like, well, I thought, I'm like, well, I thought you guys were leaving. We just got lost, and we got turned. They were just, it was so neat to see that, just whether you're a young kid or somebody that of an older age, just enjoy it, and that was really cool to see.
Well, and it's funny because earlier I was telling you guys and people I talked to in the community about my experience here. I was explaining, like, they're like, well, how many stories is it? And I'm like, well, you can't really like talk about there's no stories. It's not like a first floor, second floor, third floor. It's like just all over the place. But when you think about it, started as one floor, a ranch. Like, it's just incredible to see what it's turned into. And like I told you, Tom, like after my experience at the open house and then more of a private experience, I could come back several times and just experience and find different things that I haven't found in the past. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm coming back. Whenever I have the opportunity, I'm coming back. So
I hear that
very
a lot.
cool.
Like, oh, when we were here last time, this wasn't here. And I was laughing like, yeah, it's been here for 7 years.
Yeah.
You just didn't see it.
But you know, if I haven't seen Tom for a couple of weeks, I'm gonna go say hi, and in 2 weeks, it's like completely different.
Yeah.
You know, so much is new and different.
Well, and the time you come too, like the open house was like mid-morning, like midday kind of. But then when we came back in the evening, the sun is in a different location. And so you get like a totally different view of the house and what's on the inside and what's being shed like light on, and how the big gear with the glass in it is, the stained glass and things like that. So you get a totally different experience depending on even just the time of day you come.
Right.
Which is really cool.
Right. So we had that open house to celebrate that we're done. And really it was done with a lot of things. Like so Friday night you released the documentary. So to me, like, that was done. We had, then Saturday we had the open house, and that was celebrating that we were done. And at the time, we were basically done.
You're not done.
Yeah.
Look what you did. You're never gonna be done.
Really done, Tom.
So
never
it was
done.
a celebration of done because, I mean, you said I always had the open houses on my birthday. So it was in July, and I've had many, many of them. And it was just to show people what we had worked on or completed. And then this one was like, no, it was January. It was cold, that it was 17 degrees. I'm like, we're done. And that's what this celebration was. But I felt like horrible, like 2 weeks, like I wasn't even John's like, dude, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know. And then you had the film in the garage, and I'm like, I can't even be in there. Like, I don't know what I was just in a bad place, in a bad spot, and I couldn't make sense of it. And then on Sunday, you were like, well, let's talk about this. And so you kind of just asked me questions.
Did a little interview. The video for that's going to come out in a little bit.
Okay.
But
it was super helpful because I could not figure out what my problem was, and I just didn't really want anything to do with this place. Like 2 weeks before, or even a couple of weeks after, and I think what it was just like these overwhelming feelings of just like, damn, I'm done. Like, what am I do with my life? Like, what am I gonna do? And I didn't know what to do with it. I told you what I felt like. I was in the middle. I was stuck in the middle. I had no direction. I had no path. I wasn't, this place was done, and it sucked. It was a bad thing. And so this podcast to me is just about like wrapping it up, because I am super excited about what's next. Like, I'm pumped up. I am motivated and excited and can't wait to just like build what's next. And what everybody's kind of joking about is I started another project in the garage. But the truth of it is that was always supposed to have been part of the story here. I bought that machine, like, I don't even know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And I bought it because it fit in the garage. And then I decided, I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to get out of here. And during the open house, like on Saturday, I'm like, oh, I know what I'm doing next. Because when I would do the open houses in July, it was in the early days, like I said, when I was confrontational with people that would come here, because it was always just a complaint or, hey, you're, this or that. I'm like, oh, okay. And many times I'm even like, well, maybe I should just stop doing this or do it somewhere else. And I'd have an open house. I'm like, I just saw 300 people that said this was awesome or complimented me, or they're at least like, happy I don't live here, or you know what I mean? Just like whatever. But then I'm like, oh, I know I'm going to build next. And so that open house just motivated me to to do the garage how it was supposed to be, even though I told everybody we were done, and just get that done and just get out of here. So we had, you said there's a lot of people here.
Mhm.
Like I can count 900-ish people,
That's awesome.
and I don't think they're exaggerating to say 1,000. So I've been saying 1,000, and
It was all day, both days,
Yeah.
non-stop.
yeah. So on
Non-stop.
Saturday there was only a small window where I'm like, hey, don't go in. Like we have too many people in. Let's wait. We'll let. And that, but it only happened for like an hour and a half. I mean, there's a lot of people coming in. Like it was just full. And on Saturday, I didn't get to go inside. Not once. Not one time did I get to leave my station. But on Sunday, I did, and it was. I always wanted to see how people were climbing. I never made it up top. I never once made it. I would go up to where you were, but I never made it to where you were at. I'm like, oh, that's where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
But the energy that I felt was just, you could feel it.
Yeah,
It was really, really good.
It definitely came alive. Like having the musician in there
Mhm.
and having all the people climbing through and kids making noise and
Yeah.
just it was an
Cell phones
experience.
Cell phone shots
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
I'm all with that.
I think 2 pair of glasses.
Yeah.
One phone.
Those cell phones are loud.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think when we were climbing around, we found a pair of needle nose pliers.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're like,
yeah.
oh, they must have used this at
Yeah.
some point when they
Yeah.
were
What
when they
happened
were
was is
playing
people
around.
were going in spots that we had been in, and they were knocking tools loose.
Yeah.
Tools that we lost.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, there they are, because we found wrenches were falling
Yeah.
and tools, and so it was pretty neat. And again, my attitude wasn't the best, but it wasn't a bad thing, I guess. It was just me finishing this emotion of like, oh, this is my life story, and now I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah. In that interview, it you sort of phrased it as like it felt like it was kind of the end of a story or a story starting to wrap up,
Mhm.
and then the start of something new. And like because it was that start, it wasn't necessarily just your story anymore where
Right.
you were going.
Yeah.
It was something bigger than just yours.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, just interesting to see all the people that have been a part of it, and now that's the starting ground for something after that. I don't know. Being here, I also thought of something earlier. Being here and walking through this space, like there's always new things, but you get so used to what is here, and you've sort of lived in all of this for a long time. How does it feel to like hear your dad saying like the end of this place is coming? And I don't know, how's that feel?
I don't know. I feel like there's like never gonna be an end.
I'm with her.
Because I feel like there's always like a project, or like whenever I like pop in just to come say hi, or like for your lunches, I'm always like, oh, like this is new, or
Yeah.
I just notice new things because I don't really come around it a lot. I don't see them make it, but I can still like appreciate it and like see new things every time I come here.
Mhm. I'm curious if you go back and like see some of the stuff that's been there for a while and think about it differently ever, or I don't know, something like that.
I think I look at it as like it all came together, I guess, because like in the beginning, like there was just like a big rock in the front of the yard, but now like you can really see it for what it is.
Yeah.
I remember Avery was in her. So Avery's room was just like right over here, and I was working on something, and I heard Avery like, "Dad!" Just like, "Ow!" And she's like, "I got burnt." And then what happened? I'm like, "There's no way the sparks traveled," but I knew like she wasn't lying because like, I was like, "Ah!" and we talked earlier today. It just felt like how noisy it was.
'Cause I don't think I had like a full roof.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Yeah, it was noisy.
Not a comfortable
Yeah.
place necessarily. We
No.
talked about that in a previous podcast.
Mhm.
A little about comfort, and like comfort is good, comfort is needed, but sometimes life just forces you in a way to kind of be uncomfortable, and the people around you are impacted by that.
Yeah.
And
And it
It's-
was
it's,
comfortable for me. Like
yeah.
my bed is a tractor bucket, and I loved it. Like I miss not being in my tractor bucket. Like it just suited me. I loved it. I wish I could go back to it, but I'm like one of probably maybe only person that wants to sleep in the tractor bucket.
Yeah.
So to force my kids to be in that environment, probably, I don't know, it was maybe borderline punishment, I guess. But it was just like that was is my world. And I what I always compare it to is a kid growing up on a hog farm. Like, that kid does not know how horrible this environment is because he just grows up in it. And Avery grew up in a metal farm, and it was noisy, it was loud, it was obnoxious, it was smoky, and I would do my best to do like the super impactful projects, like when the kids weren't here, so you're not sitting in like a crazy smoky room, but that wasn't always the case. So it was it's just how we grew up.
How does it feel to see people then come and walk through that and talk about how I don't know, tell all these kind of stories about it
when they don't realize they got burnt when they were asleep?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Because I remember you saying like, John, I got burnt.
How's it feel just seeing people walk through here after?
I don't know. It just makes me like proud of you guys, I guess, because I know you guys work like really hard to do it, and so just seeing people like appreciate what you guys do just makes me proud.
It's cool. It's very cool.
Yeah.
It was cool to see it get that recognition, I think, at the open house. Everybody like immediately sort of felt in my mind like what was going on here. So
well, you can see in everybody's eyes.
Yeah.
Like everybody. I had many people. We had a $12 suggested donation, and many people would just look at me. So the second day when you were there, when like because you were manning the coming in, everybody was just like, that's what I got. Like I saw everybody just do the like $12. God damn it. And then you would see when people left, they were just super excited. And many people would just be like, not doing it. And many people came back. Right when they left, they're like, here's $12. You know what I mean?
Money
like,
well spent.
Yeah, like that felt really good. Just like people were just like, oh wow, like this was worth $12. Like it was cool to see that.
and it was like as they came in too, we were like, if it's in the budget or if it's available for you.
Yeah.
It's just important to have that accessibility too, to help us if you can, but also we understand that the world's a crazy place right now. So
Very crazy. I always say the art is the last thing that you're going to spend money on because you can't eat it. Doesn't pay the light bill. Doesn't pay the house bill. Doesn't make your car go. You do not. Yeah.
The gallery.
Art is a present. It is a gift. It is something that we appreciate, and it's the last thing that we're going to buy. And I've heard that you can tell how well a civilization is doing by the quality of the art that the civilization has. Because if we're struggling, we're growing corn and out in the fields, and as life gets easier, you can now spend time on the arts and creativity and building things that we don't exactly need. And we're very successful, and there's a lot of art because we are successful as far as how easy it is to live, but it's not easy to buy.
As far as art, if you're just want to make art to sell, you're never going to make it.
Yeah.
You have to do it because you love it, and you have to do it.
Yeah.
But if like taking work to the gallery, if it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I mean, hopefully for Santino it sells, and hopefully for me so the gallery can stay open.
Yeah.
But I never paint anything to sell. If you like it, good. If you don't like it, that's fine too.
And you'll be really criticized for that. I am with you 100%. But there's a lot of people that now consider us being the problem because you work for cheap and you're the one that's ruining the market. No, we're not the one that's ruining the market.
No.
The economy and just overall people, it's tough, right? Like everything is super expensive, and to me, just recognition or visibility, being in the light, that carries a lot of weight.
Yeah, I always told Santino a nice compliment. I spent a lot of time in the gallery and just listening to comments, and a nice comment, or we just come in to see Jeff's work, or that's as validating to me as a sale.
Mm-hmm.
Because the $300, $400, $500, that's gone.
Yeah.
But I'll always remember the comments. What people said.
Yeah.
I think it's a very process-based thing too. Like, making art is something that is all about making intentional actions and doing certain things kind of however you see fit. And then you build up a lot of meaning kind of with those actions, and then somebody else isn't necessarily going to be able to see that right on the surface.
Yeah, it's all about
So,
the process.
yeah.
I think that's the fun. That's the uncertainty. Do I have the skill level to pull
Yeah.
this off? Am I going to make it?
Yeah.
I mean, I usually think in the first couple of days if a painting's going to make it or not.
Mhm.
And then when I say, well, it's not going to make it, so I'm just going to have fun and screw around with it. And then boom, it
That's
takes
what
off.
makes it,
As soon as I stop worrying about it, you know, and get over the fear of it.
Yeah.
But the fear of it's kind of gets you into it. You know, if it's comfortable, I don't want to do it to begin with.
I think it's one of those things you can't make art for other people. Like most arts, like you have to make it for yourself, whether it's because that idea came to you, whether you have this vision, whether something inspires you to, I need to form this, make this, turn it from, imagination to reality. But what the public does is they kind of are the audience to that. Like they're the other half of that story. So from a sales perspective, like I never try to push anything. Our biggest goal was we had the place where people could see it and they could experience it. And it didn't matter if something wasn't for 1,000 people, because the 1,001st, that's the one who sees it and says, okay, that's mine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the number is, but that's okay. Cause like, that's for me, like this, and they form their own relationships with it sometime.
Yeah.
And that can be a struggle. Because sometimes, they can form opinions and things from the art, on how it relates to them, or what it made them feel. And it may not have been the artist's original intent, which is okay too. But it is like it's a relationship with the viewer and the artist, and so that story, it's having a place where you can let it be seen. I think that was one of the things about opening the gallery in the first place in 2020. Everything was shutting down, but artists, we weren't going to stop making art. We had nowhere to go. We had nowhere to put it. But at the same time, it's just like, well, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop taking pictures. It's like, I'm just going to keep doing this until like there's something to do with it. Right.
Yeah. I think like art is a very individual process, but it's still received by the people around it. It still has an impact on everyone that looks at it in some way or another. And it's just seeing that impact change from something that was like this house is crazy. Why is it here? Why is it in the middle of a neighborhood? Now to every single person who stepped in the doors, at least, sort of saw it for more than that initial reaction. And there still is the effect on all the people around here in this neighborhood. And that's like sort of an inherent part of art to me. So that recognition is a good thing, but also it's a very public thing to make art, to make something, to put anything out there in a way. So
you've talked about that in an interview or something. I think it was in your documentary. You're like, it's in the public's eye. It's in the public's eye. My neighbor Greg talked about it's in the public's eye, and I don't know that I didn't intentionally do this to be in the public's eye.
exactly,
But the public sure does see it.
yeah.
And so in a lot of, and I can't remember the same questions, but everybody asked me the same questions. But some of the questions will confuse me when people ask me, and I'm just like, I don't understand what it is that you're talking about, because to me this is my normal. This is my house. This is where we live. This is where we cook. This is where we play. This is where we're upset, and it is my normal. So I couldn't answer some questions, or what's your favorite thing? I'm like, this is one thing.
Yeah.
This is one piece. This is one. You can't take anything out of it. Like, it's all supposed to be in it, And so it was a weird weekend.
But yeah, in some ways, you've invited other folks to recognize that this is a version of normal, right? Like it doesn't have to be their normal per se, but they now have one more example of what life can look like, what life can be, what art can be. But I really think that it's back to that idea of like, this is a place that's been inhabited, right? And it is functional. And, you know, of course, that relationship between form and function is always going to be part of the conversation. But it's a living, breathing thing in the same way that people who inhabit spaces are living, breathing things. And yeah, I mean, just thinking about the idea of process, thinking about the idea of, you know, that relationship between a consumer of art or a viewer of art and the artist, you know, and their intent, being able to work with kiddos all the time and provide them with examples of other normals, right? This is this artist, and this is the way that they create, and this is the way that they navigate their world. Well, they get to look at that, they get to learn about it, and then they immediately get to create in a way that's inspired by it, right? It's not, the intent is not to recreate what's been done already. It's just to provide example after example of the different ways that people are envisioning the environments around them, and, you know, placemaking. And that placemaking might be literally a house, or that placemaking might be the painting on the wall. But regardless, it's, you know, it's artists navigating their world. And then, you know, from the kiddo perspective, being able to see that. And then they walk away with whatever they personally take from it. But that's now part of their understanding of what the world could be. And hopefully that pushes them far enough to say, oh, well, if this person, if Tom thought of his world like this, then my world can look like this. And yeah.
I really loved being able to use that story of bringing those little artists and younger people into this space in that documentary. Just gives a call to action to this. This is something that shapes how people see the world, and that starts very young. That starts in your early days. So just encouraging those people to have, I don't know.
Yeah, we cut down creativity. We cut down independent ideas. We cut down the norm, right? Like we need to kind of like keep everybody down. If you pop up a little bit, it could be dangerous, and we need to stop that. So I want to read. Well, let me go back. So on the documentary, a lot, I feel what I said was the most important part of the story was my neighbor Greg, and Greg didn't like what I was doing, but he respected me as a person, and he respected that that's your property, man. You do the way you want to do it. I don't like it, but you know, that's your side. So since this is the end of this, I want to read a letter. This letter was given to me because I asked for it, and I won't say the name of who it was specifically because I didn't get a permission for this, but she did write me a letter because I asked for a letter from her in support, because she led the opposition on trying to stop this. So there was a very large group of people through the court process, through the city process, through campaigns, tried to stop this from happening. And there's a lot of reasons why I prevailed and why I was successful, but a lot of it was because, like how you took the viewpoint of positive and you went with it. I was very lucky that a lot of people were focusing on the positive, and then the negative side never got as much light. That was all luck. So this letter, you know, my name is, I won't put her name, says I live on Garling Street, which is approximately 1 block east of Tom Kirk. My husband and I have lived at this address for over 31 years and have been very against things Tom has done with his landscaping of his property. I felt he was detracting from our well-landscaped and manicured lawns. However, I must speak on Tom's behalf. Tom has asked me to write a letter of recommendation to him because I have been one of his biggest critics, which isn't so much the case as I was the only one willing to speak my mind and let him know how I felt. He told me he wants to start placing his artistic endeavors on some vacant lots he owns downtown area, making some Airbnbs. I feel this would be an attraction and a beautification to the downtown rather than the empty lots or old rundown buildings. Plus, the Airbnbs would be a great place for people to stay when they come to Bloomington to enjoy events near the arena. Tom worked hard to turn his property into a thing of beauty. I can still say I am not particularly fond in it being in my neighborhood, but I have talked to Tom about it being kept up and well managed, and he has assured me he plans to do this. I think Tom is an honest and trustworthy man, and if you allow him to explain his artwork in the downtown, he will create Airbnbs that will be beneficial to the area, because I am on the outside lot and have seen the curious seekers who drive down the street looking at his property. Therefore, I think it will I think in turn it will draw people to the downtown to view and watch what he is putting up with, in turn show people who normally don't stop downtown in the idea of what small businesses are doing there. I have looked at his booklet he created showing his goals for the downtown, and I think if the city were willing to work with Tom, it could be beneficial to all that are concerned. And then you can call me if you have any questions. So what I think is super important about that, if we're wrapping up what this open house meant, was the lady that led the opposition and was very strong and adamant about this needs to be stopped. And I was lucky that she didn't prevail. And because she didn't prevail, I was allowed to continue to build it. And now this lady spoke on my behalf and gave me a letter of support to give to the city, to encourage the city to support what it is that I wanted to do. And when I say that I think as a society, we try to keep everybody down. We don't want anybody to shine. And one, for somebody to oppose something and then to be able to write a letter speaks of her, as I don't know what the word would be, or like
Growth.
Oh my God, like I think the world of this person, because she didn't like something and now she can say, oh, maybe I'm not saying wrong, because she wasn't wrong, but to change her view and then to go to support.
That's pretty awesome.
That's huge. And I think, now that this is done, people can see it, and maybe a lot of the naysayers, and I want you to tell your story that you told me just a little bit ago. I kept going, and now it's a thing of beauty. And I'd like that story to be shared with, because I think it's important that, I gave up easily as a young person. And now the only person that has to make sense to is me. And I mean, right there is testament, just like you don't give up, you go to the end, and maybe the naysayers will change their mind. And that's a very important story to end on. This project was a person actually had the respect enough to say it's a good thing.
That's kind of what we were talking about before, with like walking in and seeing a railing and calling it a railing, or seeing it as a railing, and then you look a little closer and there's sort of something else there. Calling it that railing is just you making some sort of attempt to make sense of the world around you. And that's kind of what we do as humans. We sort of come up with these stories or these ideas of how things work, or what something is, and that allows us to keep functioning. It takes some of that cognitive load off. We don't have to think about it as much.
But it also could have went the other way.
Yeah, and then
which is terrifying.
Sort of readdressing those sometimes, looking back at, is this pattern that I've built up to make my life easier really beneficial to the people around me, to things like that, to my circle. It's just kind of what I feel like we've seen a little bit this open house. It's a lot of people have come through here and brought their family with them, people that they're close with, and that's and cool to see her sort of doing that too.
Well, we have so many people, not in my neighborhood, you're not doing this, and so many great things, and I have seen it throughout my life. Personally, pretty much on the business side, have been stopped from a naysayer. and that's very bothersome. I mean, we see it in business all the time. I mean, it's just, you can stop something amazing from happening just because that's my opinion. Well, why can't they do it? You just shouldn't be able to. And so I hope that, this part of the story motivates or encourages people just to don't give up, like don't stop. Because the person that's opposing you just, we're lucky to live in a society when you can not agree to something and still speak your mind, right? Like, I am proud of this lady for defending what she felt was right at the time of, like, you shouldn't be able to do that. That's great. But if you prevailed, you might have stopped something amazing from happening just because it was your opinion and it shouldn't have happened. And if it was up to me, man, if it's your property, it's your property. Simple as that. It's your property to defend however you want to defend it, and it is your property to live on it however you want to, how you want to live on it. And so if I'm encouraging little ones, I hope I encourage little ones to, if it makes sense to you, you're pretty much the only person it needs to make sense to. Now, that could be very wrong, and it can lead to a really bad decision. So I'm not saying that like on everything, but overall, like how you want to dress or look or be, it just needs to make sense to you. And I think you'll motivate or encourage or give somebody else the strength to be like, oh, that's how I think too, or maybe that's what I want to do too.
And I think that's the lesson that's buried in there with the way that you've approached this project too, right? Is that, it's your private property. It's your artistic vision. It's your sweat and blood and labor. And at the same time, at the end of the day, you have invited people into this space. And in some ways, that builds in accountability, that builds in vulnerability, that builds in possibility, right? You have said, this is my thing. This is what I needed to do for me. And at the same time, have had the humility, truly, to open doors and to welcome people in from all viewpoints, from all perspectives. And you've known the risk, right? You know what's possible when folks don't respond to it in a positive way. And I think that's really what we take away, right? Is that there is space for us to create very specifically and to create for ourselves. But at the end, if we're able and willing to open that up to other people and to be open to those different interpretations and to say that, in some ways we all own part of this because we came, with no preconceived notions, with no understanding, and we took away, an impression. And that could be here specifically, that could be anywhere. But I do think, I don't want that piece to get lost because, there is this, this porous relationship between anybody who's come through here and experienced it for themselves.
Jeff, what was that story that you were talking about somebody who...
As far as the negative comments and things like that, the video guy, Lee Harris, he recently did a video about the open house and posted it online. And one of the people that he was interviewing went on and on about how amazing it was and how beautiful and artistic, and you've got to see it for yourself, and just the typical comments that people have for it. But I know this person, and I know that 5 or 6 years ago, drove by the house and got on social media and had this rant about, I feel so sorry for everybody that lives on that street. How could you live next to that? This guy is killing their property values. This guy should be stopped. I mean, I feel so sorry for all the people on this street. And knowing Tom and being supportive and kind of protective, I thought, I'm going to wait till the morning to respond to this guy. Knowing him. And my response was, I'm an artist, but I don't think you need to be an artist to appreciate what he's doing, and that's your opinion. And by the way, the house across the street sold in a day.
Right. Yeah. I've seen Pat defend me online a couple times.
And being here at the very beginning, like I talked about, as a normal house, and we've been good enough friends, we can have open conversations, and I've been a critic. of what he does here. You know, he's asked me, hey, what's your opinion on this? I'm like, I don't know. I think it's crazy if you ask me. And, you know, when he started off as a normal house, like, oh, this is great for the girls, you know, like, okay, it's just a normal house. And then, like, he just immediately started doing the stuff. I'm like, okay, I don't understand, but, you know, whatever. And as time evolved and he just kept doing all these different crazy things, you know, we have a lot of friends out there, and they would ask me, like, well, what's your friend up to? You know, I'm like, I don't know. You know, I'm like, I don't know. He's just doing his thing, you know, like, oh my God, the neighbors got to hate him. You know, like what's wrong? Like, what's he doing? I'm like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, he's just doing his thing. I don't know. I mean, whatever, you know, it's not my business. And I didn't really like, you know, as much as we talk every day, you know, I knew like the stuff he was going through, right? You know, like on the personal side. But it was really the documentary that kind of, for me, you know, even being best friends with him and like talking to him every day, knowing everything he's going through, the documentary, it was like, wow, like it all made sense. Like for me, it just kind of completed this mystery for me, you know, because it's like, well, why are you doing this? I mean, you could be doing anything else but what you're doing. And it made him a human being and a real person, not some crazy friend of mine that was, you know, destroying a neighborhood or something. So I got so much out of that documentary. I loved it. And then to kind of, you know, and I've been to other open houses and, you know, they were successful and it was neat to see people's, you know, eyes light up at this open house. Like I was excited for this open house. And I kept talking like, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? Because after I kind of like saw the documentary and I'm like, you have to show this to the world now. You know, like this is your story. This is you. And just seeing everybody kind of walk through here again, just their eyes light up. And I don't know, it was a magical experience for me just from start, you know, from the very beginning of right before he bought the house, not understanding why he was doing what he was doing. And then seeing the documentary and like, oh, wow. Okay. You know, like it's pretty, you know, it was good. So
that's maybe I don't know why it was sort of so unsettling or confusing to you, because that's a big story. That's a big thing that people haven't really understood probably. And then kind of as that's coming to a point where it's feeling like it's the end and the start of something after that, people can start to see it and start to understand it and be able to process it more than just have that reaction. So yeah, looking a little deeper at things.
Yeah, and I think it's not, I mean, like you said, it's not really an end because like he's never done with this place. It's never going to be done. I know him well enough.
The start of
and that's why like when I got here, I'm like, okay, well, there's tunnels here now. Like this was not here a month ago, and I was a critic of putting the dump truck in that part, you know, because like I'm like, no, leave it, because that's where everybody kind of like came in, like I guess where the TV was for the document. I'm like, it was all perfect, and now you're gonna just put a dump truck in there, you know, again. So I criticize a lot of stuff, constructive criticism. Or just give my opinion, but I think this is either maybe an end to a chapter or the book, and now we're on to the next one. Yeah, we're just like so it's not really the end. It's just maybe the end of this chapter or the book, and I think we're I think we're all excited.
That was part one.
But I think we're all excited to see what the next thing is, because I mean he's not done. You know what I mean? Like he's far from done, you know.
Just the start.
Yeah, it's just really this right here just kind of like, I don't know, validated him, and like it's real, and like he's gonna do what he wants to do, and it's actually it's for the greater good of mankind or humanity.
What that shift was, Tom said like, it's not my story, and I think that's what's kind of been scary to you now, is that what's starting is not your story. It's something bigger than that. So
what's coming next? You
don't have control over that next part of the story. It's going to be something.
I need to maintain a little bit of the control, only from a business standpoint. Like that is it. But the rest of it, I want it to become whatever it's supposed to become. And you are the key person for that. Like I know that, I've always known that. So I I'm very excited about like what we do next.
Each and every one of us play a role in it somehow. We all have our specific little thing that we bring to the table.
And that's why you're all
elevates it.
You're all invited. Like I've always selected who we talk with.
Joey back here too, by the way. The podcast. This is part of it.
The
too,
unsung hero.
Joey.
Hello.
I think we're going to talk about the media coming up in one of these podcasts. Just this coverage we've been doing because it's added a lot to the story, I think, too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, it's growing and it is turning into something a little different. And Pat is really into coaching and helping people on mindset and business. And I know from like what we talk about, the way I'm doing this is not how I should be doing it from a business standpoint because I'm too involved in it, and I will slowly remove myself from it as much as possible so then I can have better growth because I can coach it, which is which I wanted to do. So we'll see. We will see slow growth in the beginning, and then I think it'll explode because I'm going to have to be so involved in it hands-on for the first year and a half because I don't have the income to hire the people that I want to do. But once it produces it, I will step back, run it from afar, and then be able to do the things that I want to do. So I'm super excited about what's going to happen next. And I've told the city that it's not what I am building, it's what we will have, as a community. This will be ours, not a mine. And this is even not a mine, it's been ours. And we've had our guests and our friends and, extra artists and stories and connections and, new friendships. And the next one's going to be really exciting. And I've got my drive back and it feels super, super good. So I always write things down, ideas, drawings. I write on walls, and I've been writing on the walls again here lately, which means I'm in the space that I need to be in, and I'm making sure that I'm efficient as I can be up to the minute of the day. So I'm tracking my minutes again, and I shut off my screen time down to 30 minutes. So my phone is like a 10-year-old. My phone shuts off after 30 minutes now. My goal is to get it down to 10. And I'm excited. I want to build stuff, and I've had friends that have helped me and coached me, and thankful for that. Like, it's been good. You did crawl through that crawl. I forgot about it. Like,
Crawl through what?
We went through the crawl space of this place when I looked at it.
Yeah,
I physically crawled through the crawl space. I don't remember Steve being here, but
yeah, it was me, you, and Steve. It was right before you bought it. We were walking through here.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, man,
Just
what a nice
slept
little
on
house.
the
You
air
know?
mat.
Just
How
like,
quaint.
and I do want to throw a quick. I kind of tell it sometimes, but it's kind of funny. And so, again, when Tom was doing things here, sometimes it'd be very extreme, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'll never forget. There was a time when he literally cut the floor out. So like there was no floor. Like he cut the floor out. So I remember coming over, checking it out, and I don't know if Anita was dropping you girls off or picking you girls up. But all I remember was the main front door. She opened the door and it just was a drop down. And she kind of like looked in, and I'm looking up like, how, and just the look on her face was like, what just happened, and I'll never forget that. But that's just kind of like how it's been over the years with you in this house. Just
you never know.
You never know when you open that door what's going to be there and what's not going to be there.
Yeah. And I hope that encourages people to, if it makes sense to you, just do it. And I'm not talking like, that could be a really horrible statement.
Within the confines of society.
Yeah.
Like society.
But if it makes sense to you.
Philosophically.
And I think artistic people are the example of that, because it's just like, usually the weirdo misfits or the creative weird hair just dressing however. It's just like, no, like maybe they're onto something. Like if that's what makes them happy, just do that. So I try to share my story with people only because I feel I'm getting recognition for something that is unique or great or that people like. But so that's why I like to share my story of failure and struggle, because I'm like, oh, hey, I'm doing something that's great and people are recognizing me for it. But oh, by the way, when the doors are shut, like I really struggle. Now that's that's fixed that, and I always will struggle with different things, but they're new struggles and they're different struggles, and I got out of like the super bad one. So I just want to motivate people to be like, well, yes, I was able to achieve something that was great, but I did it struggling. So we talk about mindset, right? Like I was lucky to get my mindset going, and you motivate me through that, listening to your videos that you do on this like mindset and who are your friends, show me your friends, I'll show you your future, and just like take action. And I'm lucky that I'm with somebody that pushes that and encourages that and motivates it, and surround yourself with good people. And I'm surrounded with good people and new people. And I have met so many people through this project. I've met every single, not you, but you know, this has been a blessing. Like it's been a blessing, and in return, I want to build something that I won't see the end of.
Yeah, I at the very end of the doc too, I had a little special note that said, "Thank you to the city of Bloomington for working closely with Tom for the benefit of the city and the people that lived here, or that live here, or call it home." And I think what I sort of was doing with that sentence was structuring that word city, using it in two different ways within that same one. The city is the people just as much as it is the city. So
without the people, there's no city.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little call to the people out at home too. Like, this is your project too. This is your community. This is your story. So thanks for being here, and thanks for listening.
Right.
Any closing comments we have from anybody? All right.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, thank
you.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it. Like you guys motivate me and encourage me to do better and be better and build bigger things. And we have set up shop in the downtown area. I call it the Powerhouse, which is where our name is. We actually bought the building that used to generate power for electricity. And I'm hoping that we have an unveiling of some sort soon to show people what we've already started. And we will be up and open in a year and 4 months.
So when you say soon on the unveil, what kind of timeline is that? Me, I'm just asking for a friend.
No
Yeah,
timeline.
Yeah.
No timeline.
My goal is in the next 2 months
Okay.
that I want to have and I don't know if I would call it an unveiling or just a revealing of the business plan that I have.
Okay.
And I'm calling it a partnership with the community. So I just want to show the community.
You got to put a timeline on it. If you
It's
put a
too much.
timeline,
Yeah, I have.
then now there's pressure. And you got to
Happen
stay.
organic.
Yeah, you know.
No, I need
People need
dates.
to know.
Yes.
I gotta have.
Gotta have the date.
In 2 months, I don't know what 2 months is from today, but it'll be 60 days from today. I want people to know what we are doing, like exactly.
Yeah.
And I've told John, who I work with, and Addison, who I build with, it will be done in 14 months. And by that, we will have our first attraction open in 14 months.
Okay.
And that will be open to the public.
You heard it right here. It's being
14
recorded, so I
The
mean,
very
14
first
months.
episode too of this podcast, we did it in the Powerhouse, just kind of talking about what Powerhouse is, both as that building, as that project, but also this group of people that we've put together. So give that one a look too if you're interested in kind of hearing some of those ideas and hearing the space and getting into the story that way.
Cool.
So
Well,
thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
thank you.
Thank you, Eric.